Will Juliette get away with the relic? Let's dig in and find out. Welcome back. My name is Sean Redmond. This is Sean's Take. And today my take is on Silo, Season 1, Episode 8, entitled Hanna. Now, before we go any further, this is your spoiler warning. After this, I will assume you've either seen the episode or don't care if I ruin it for you. Let's get in. We start with Juliette as a young girl with her mother walking through a cornfield in the farming levels of the silo. They meet up with a guy, and Hanna, who is Juliette's mother, trades a bottle of pills, we don't know what they are, for a box. And the guy does say, when you get caught, I'll say you found the rabbit. And she says, I'm not going to get caught. And he says, the silo always wins. We find out, I'm not going to go beat for beat through the entire episode, but we do find out it's a sick rabbit in the box. And that Hanna, as a surgeon, wants to practice a surgery on the rabbit because she thinks the rabbit has the same thing that her son died of, and she's come up with a way to help people. And she's built a magnifying apparatus of different magnifying glasses and eyeglasses arranged so that she can actually see the small heart where she needs to work enlarged. We do not yet know why magnification is forbidden in the silo, but we know that it is. And, the judiciary finding Hanna's magnifier and destroying it also destroys her marriage. She believes her husband, who was the only other person that knew the magnifier existed, she believes he turned her in. So we also see Sims visit Gloria, and he threatens her a little bit and says that if she cooperates with him, he'll make sure that she can live out her days in her fantasies. And if she doesn't, he'll make sure she's never drugged again, and she'll just stare at these same four walls forever. And it's enough. And she answers his questions that Sheriff Holston put a bag in the vent and that Juliette retrieved it. He does pose the question of what was in the bag, but we do not hear the answer. But we do know that Gloria was provided her medication, drugs again, so she could retreat into her fantasy. Which is, of course, if you don't remember from the last episode, standing on the beach next to the ocean. Outside. So there's a lot more of a lockdown within the silo. There's checkpoints at different levels. They're checking bags for relics. So Juliette's having a hard time maneuvering. She does remember that medical is, for some reason, not monitored. So she takes the hard drive to medical and tries to boot it up on her father's computer. She gets blocked by a sysop login. She doesn't have permission to access the drive. She brings Lucas into her confidence, and he cowards out. Even when she breaks the mirror and shows Lucas, she rips the camera out of the wall behind the mirror and shows him that they're watching everything. He's too much of a coward to help because he's the only person available for his mother. So let's stick a pin in Lucas right here. I'm going to get back to him in a minute. So this episode moves quite quickly. We also see the big things in this episode. Sims launches a search of the sheriff's station. And Billings mentions during the search that it's illegal. It's against the pact without probable cause. So after Sims and his boys leave, Juliette asks Billingsley if it really was illegal. And he says it was. So she takes Billings down and arrests Sims, which is a pretty bold move. And Sims does tell her that she will regret it. Juliette does have a great conversation with her father, because after they arrest Sims, she's left alone in Sims's office that she rifles pretty quickly. And she does discover a few personnel files that are of interest to her. And one of which is on Martha, her friend. Her other friend down in mechanical, and Hanna. And Juliette looks through her mother's file and discovers that they busted her with the magnifier because of the cameras. Nobody informed on her. So she does go to see her father and lets him know that she knows that he didn't turn Hanna in. And it's a very nice moment between the two of them. And, it's a little cathartic for them. So Juliette ends up at a bag check stop. And she's refusing to show her bag. She says, "I'm the sheriff. I'm going to work." And as it just starts to escalate, Bernard appears. And as mayor, takes the sheriff through the checkpoint so that she doesn't have to show her bag, gaining more of Juliette's confidence. And he says, "We can't talk here. Let's go somewhere." And they go back to the cornfield. They end up in the middle of the cornfield, which is where they made the deal for the rabbit in the first scene. And Bernard says, "What do you have? Why is Sims doing this?" And Juliette explains that she believes Sims is in charge. The judge is just a figurehead. He has to be stopped. He's going to try to kill her. And Bernard says, "Well, why would he do that? What do you have? What is it? What is he looking for?" And she doesn't say. And Bernard says, "If you have the hard drive, you should turn it over." And then he says, "Oh, I said hard drive." And it's in that moment that Sims steps out. The guards, soldiers, whatever they are there. And we all realize, as Juliette does, that it is in fact Bernard who is the big bad behind the scenes. He is the one pulling the strings, not the judge, not Sims. So Juliette, being Juliette, begins to fight for her freedom. And working in mechanical, she's quite strong. And she does pretty good, but there's too many of them, and she is taken into custody. And as they're walking her back, Bernard does say, "Oh, I heard you say you want to go out." And Sims says, "I heard it too." So they're going to put Juliette out the airlock and kill her. So as they're walking her back to cell 3, up the stairs, Billings tremors come back, and he loses his grip on Juliette. And she takes the opportunity to escape his grasp, grab her bag, and jump over the stairway, over the railing. Now, we've heard of going over the rail is how people commit suicide in the silo. George went over the rail. You know, they said it was a suicide, he went over the rail, but in fact he was thrown over the rail and murdered. So now Juliette has gone over the rail. Did the lead of our show just commit suicide? I don't think so. Two real possibilities. One, that she, on her way down, she caught the next level and then rolled in to run away. Or they were at the point of the turn where when she jumped, there was one of the bridges, I think they call them bridges in the silo, to the circular part. You know, we saw the mayor and the old deputy cross the bridge to go see the children in the nursery, right? And I think she either landed on that or somehow managed to jump over this rail into that platform. Most likely on the thing. However, that's a pretty big jump. And I don't know what kind of concrete this is supposed to be, but it is supposed to be some kind of concrete. And that's not cushy. So I don't know if she's going to end up injured or what. We only have a couple of episodes left in this season. And I did read the books, but I'm not guessing what's going to happen based on what happened in the books. I read the books when they came out, so it's been a while. And I remember the overall story. I don't remember some of the details along the way. And I, for the life of me, can't think of where they're going to end the first season in 2 episodes' time. So I thought this was a great episode. It was a good cathartic episode for Juliette and her dad. Anytime you get to see Tim Robbins, it's fun. And I think Common is doing a good job as Sims. Although in this episode he did have Sims had a little more emotion than just bad guy, and it felt a little off. But hopefully he'll come into that. So Juliette, not knowing what's on the hard drive and still so determined to find out what's on it. I don't know if she's going to get to Martha. Maybe she will. Maybe she'll get to Martha. Oh, that was interesting, actually. Juliette was supposed to go see Martha at 6 o'clock, and when she wasn't there an hour late, Martha opened the door to her shop, which she has not left in 20 years, and stepped into the frame to try and leave to go find her friend. And as she was working up the courage to leave for the first time in 20 years, her other friend showed up, and she asked, "Where's Juliette?" Word did travel down very quickly that the sheriff had requested to go out, and she was in custody. Now, when Billings was at his house, or with his partner, and had a flare-up of his syndrome, his wife said that she thought that the new sheriff was bad news. And some people felt that she was laying the groundwork for a new rebellion. That's the first time we heard that. So there are people in the silo talking about the sheriff starting a rebellion. So it'll be interesting if that spark fans into flames over the next 2 episodes. And maybe that's how Juliette survives for 2 more episodes, that there are sympathizers. Maybe the keepers of the flame, that we learned about in the last episode, will harbor her and hide her and move her about to hide her from judicial. So that was interesting to find out that the silo is thinking that. Because Sims did say in this episode too that it's still only been about a week. A lot of time has not passed since the death of the mayor, since the death of the sheriff going out, Juliette becoming sheriff. It's only been a few days that all of this has taken place. So I'm really liking this show. What do you think? How do you think it's going to end? I don't want a big discussion about how much better the books are than the series. We're only talking about the series, and series are different than books. I'm going to do a whole video. I saw Stephen King in an interview once, and he was asked what he thought about the movie versions of his stories, and that they changed his stories. And he said, they didn't change my stories. My story is in the book. If you want to read my story, read the book. Their story is nice too. And let's keep that in mind. I don't want compare and contrast between books and shows. Let's just talk about the show and like it for what it is. It's already been greenlit for a 2nd season, so that's good news. There are 3 books in the source material, so there's plenty. What do you think? Are you liking it? I'm liking it. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you've watched a couple of these and you like them, consider subscribing, because that helps the channel a lot. All right. If there's any other shows you were watching that you'd like me to watch and talk about, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you think Juliette's going to survive the season. All right. But that's it for Hanna in the Silo series. I'm Sean. This is Sean's Take. The more you know. See you next time.